It was a crisp November afternoon when a small group gathered around a headstone on a hill to inter the ashes of a Vietnam veteran. After the honor guard played taps and the presentation of the flag, I began the graveside service and at one point offered an opportunity for everyone to share a favorite memory about their loved one. Most of the attendees were my age or older, except for this one very thin young man who stood directly across from me in the circle, with a young woman by his side. As family members, friends, and neighbors spoke, I noticed a slight tremor develop in the young man's legs. By the time the last person had spoken, his entire body was shaking like a leaf in the wind. I held the young man in a loving gaze and said softly, "You loved him." The young man nodded and said, "He saved my life." He then introduced himself as the deceased, Bruce, as Bruce's personal care attendant and a veteran who had fought in the Iraq War. Bruce had devoted his life to helping combat veterans live with their memories of war as they returned to civilian life. Although Ethan, the young man, was not physically wounded from war, he said, "It was like my body left Iraq, but my mind didn't." He felt numb, trusted no one, distanced himself from loved ones, had angry outbursts and nightmares, couldn't sleep or live with the horrors he had seen and the acts he had committed. Bruce recognized what Ethan was going through, and gradually the veterans of different wars became friends. With each visit, Ethan was able to share more of the memories that haunted him. And although Bruce never said a word about his own experiences of war, Ethan often noticed a tear stream down Bruce's cheek as he listened. Before Bruce died, the quality of Ethan's life began to improve. He stopped drinking and introduced us to the young woman by his side as his new girlfriend, who agreed to accompany him today, even though she had never met Bruce. As Ethan finished speaking, his body stopped shaking. "He saved my life, and I'm not going to waste it," he said, as he stood proudly in his body with his feet firmly planted on the ground, and he reached for his girlfriend's hand. The ravages of war continue long after the fighting is over. Talking with someone who has lived through the same trauma or understands the moral injuries of war can help a soldier remember their innate goodness and reclaim some peace of mind as they re-enter civilian life. Now, I want to acknowledge that talking about the unspeakable is not the only way to heal from the war within, but it is an important one. Sometimes keeping big emotions bottled up robs us from experiencing the goodness life has to offer and prevents us from being able to engage with others. We go into lockdown mode because if we open our hearts a little bit, we fear the floodgates will open and someone will be hurt. As civilians today, we are hearing the use of war rhetoric to identify undocumented immigrants as the enemy, and the indiscriminate abduction of immigrants from our streets. I would say add the military style of indiscriminate abduction of immigrants from our streets as the battleground in our nation. I want to give us an opportunity to name how we are feeling about this war, on our immigrant friends and neighbors, on women's rights, on the demolition of the East Wing of our nation's capital, on barriers to benefits and entitlements for the most vulnerable members of our society. It's a long list. And the erosion of the balance of power in our democracy. This sanctuary is a loving space that is strong enough to hold how we are feeling as we witness the unfolding of current events. So, two things. When we share, we'll draw upon the principles of compassionate conversation by owning our emotions without casting blame or judgment on those who do not share our values. And we're going to use a specific formula for this. When XYZ happened, I felt mad, sad, angry, frustrated, fill in the blank. So, for example, when the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, I felt angry and helpless. And while we're sharing, I've asked the tech team to focus the camera on our chalice. After our time of sharing, we'll talk a little bit about hope. So let us begin. I will bring the microphone down, and if you wish to share, please raise your hand and I'll bring the mic to you. Too much, huh? That's the floodgate.
When the Supreme Court this week gave the Trump administration the right to suspend the SNAP benefits, I was outraged, and I feel overwhelmed by my own outrage.
I'll pass that down.
When I saw on television a young mother who had two small children, two boys, and she had $23 to her name and no SNAP benefits, and she didn't know how she was going to feed them. And I felt heartbroken for her.
I have to say honestly that when I heard about or saw the destruction of the East Wing, I honestly didn't care, because to me it's a small thing and a distraction in a world where there are such bigger problems. And I imagine this morning, for example, having a conversation with somebody about the 42 million people who rely on SNAP benefits, who may think, well, there's a lot of waste and they should be working. And I think, well, okay, how much waste do you think that there is? 10%? Okay, that's 4.2 million. That's a lot. 10% would be high. Fraud, 10%, that would be high. Still leaves 38 million people. There's 6 million people in Massachusetts. That's like 6 Massachusetts. So I just think the narrative, what worries me is the narrative that people bring to the social safety net and try to think about how to personalize it for people.
When I was at the standout yesterday in Wareham, I saw a sign that said, 40 billion for Argentina, but no money for SNAP. And I said, right on, man.
Mm-hmm.
As someone who spent 26 years in the United States Army, when I saw American soldiers and Marines being deployed to our cities against our own population, I felt shame and outrage. We all serve to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, not wage war on our own people.
I've been watching all along as the protections that were in place for our environment have been eroded. But last week when I read that Trump had signed into law the right for oil drilling in the Arctic, I knew it would happen, but when it finally did, I felt rage scary rage, rage that I didn't feel that I could control. I don't like feeling that angry. And then I felt grief, because I know what's going to happen up there. Those are the calving grounds for the reindeer. There are people who live up there whose life depends on that area. And finally, I feel shame to be a human being, that we do not take care of our environment.
I feel all the emotions that have already been described, but when each of these actions and policy changes and signs of cruelty and greed and everything else occur, what really sweeps over me is a sense of the erasure of my history. My father fought in World War II, so go Antifa. My brothers came back, my one brother came back very mentally wounded from Vietnam and never really lived life after that. My mother, there was a sense of love and pride that she felt, and she would be 120 years old now, in all of the progress and the social rights progress that had been made in this country. And to see each of those things eroded is like parts of my own life and my own being are being destroyed. And that makes me mad as heck.
Bring the mic on this side. Any of you want to hear? Yes.
With all these things, I feel a increased enthusiasm to volunteer for sustainable, excuse me, Middleboro. There are a lot of members in here, along with myself, so that area of volunteer power helps me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Let's sing Comfort Me. If you felt this kind of sharing to be helpful. Natalie Johnson and the pastoral care team will be offering a program on November 30th called Tending the Need Fire, a ritual of sharing loss in community. In her description, Natalie writes, "The times we are living through now are rife with challenges that seem to mount on a daily basis. It can be overwhelming, yet our culture does not encourage us to share our difficult emotions. Any deviation from perpetual happiness is seen as failure or something to be fixed or silenced. Feelings of grief, loss, anger, fear, or a numbing emptiness abound. The human psyche is simply unable to process these things as rapidly as they are occurring, yet we try to carry on as if this is normal. It is anything else but normal. We lack a safe space in which to have our feelings shared and witnessed, so we lock them up inside. Doing so is so detrimental to our physical and emotional well-being. So take this as a personal invitation to benefit from this workshop that's being offered at the end of this month. Spirit of life and love, comfort us. Remind us there is still so much good we can do in this world. Let's sing Sanctuary, shall we? O Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. O Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. And with thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. There are many ways for us to be a sanctuary of love during this time in our nation's history. Just last week, I heard from our UCC colleague, the Reverend Kim Engel, who was here at my installation. And she was inviting us to join the North Congregational Church in providing community meals on a regular basis to offset the suspension of SNAP benefits to people living with food insecurity. She has since invited all interfaith clergy in the area to help feed the hungry as Jesus did, and had a meeting with our town manager last Thursday. God bless her. If you would like to help organize a community meal here at UU Middleboro or elsewhere in town, there'll be a meeting in my office with members of the social justice team immediately following the service. Local food pantries are increasing their inventory and hours of operation to help meet the increased demand for food. Additional funding and volunteers will be needed, so let's wear our church t-shirts as we serve the members of our community. And let us speak for a moment about Zohran Mamdani, the first Muslim mayor of New York City, who said in his acceptance speech, "I can see the dawn of a better day for humanity. A new age defined by competence and compassion." He proclaimed New York City will remain a city of immigrants, a city built by immigrants, powered by immigrants, and as of tonight, led by an immigrant. Powerful, powerful words. May we rally behind his promise that we will respond to authoritarianism with the strength it fears and not the appeasement it craves. May it be so.